Okay, this video is about how to fix a code P1450 on a 2015 Mustang. I think it also applies to 2016 and 2017 Mustangs with the EcoBoost engine. This video will address this specific part here, which is the vapor canister bypass valve. And the reason I'm starting with it on the table here is because when I removed this part, I had a horrible time finding it. I went to my local parts store. They tried to sell me a different looking part where the canister was, the input and the output were at a right angle to one another. I continued to search it on the internet and found that you could not buy these either by this part number, either from a Ford OEM place or some aftermarket. The only ones I was able to find were actually used parts from a junkyard, which I did not want. So I proceeded to my Ford dealership and was told that this is obsolete. I will put the part number in the description below, and that I had to buy this, which has a different part number, which I will put in the description below. So if your car has this type of purge valve on it, then the following video may help you. If it has a different one, then you need to choose a different video. Thanks. Okay, so I have a 2015 Ford Mustang EcoBoost 4-cylinder, and about a week ago I filled up with gas and it was really hard to start afterwards. It took about 5 times and I could hear it turning over, but it wouldn't fire. And then it fired and ran rough for just a couple miles and then got better. Sure enough, the next day it threw a check engine light code, which was 1450, which has to do with unable to bleed the vacuum from the fuel tank. So I have traced this, and the most likely cause of failure is the canister purge valve in the engine. There are other things that can cause evap system problems, but this is a known point of failure on this car, so I'll show you how to change it. So here's the engine of the EcoBoost Mustang. The part I'm talking about, this is as viewed from the side, driver's side. This engine cover here is plastic. It comes off with 8 and 10 millimeter sockets, and our part should be right under here. So I'll begin taking that off. This guy right here, if you can see it, right on top of the cylinder head. Okay, here we are again, about to test to see if this part's defective before we just buy a part and replace it. What I'm going to do is disconnect this hose here that ultimately runs back to the canister and to the fuel tank. What this should be doing is sending evap fumes that are collected in the evap canister back by the fuel tank and moving it into the intake so that it burns through the engine. It's an environmental system there. On some you can just pull the hose off, but these are hard plastic hoses with special connectors, so if I manhandle this, I'm going to break it. So what I'm going to do is pry this little green tab open, which allows it to pull off quite easily. I can't do it with one hand, however, so I'll have to put the camera down while I do that. Okay, and here you go. This tab is pulled out. You got to be a little gentle with that. It's not going to come all the way out. It just comes out enough to unlock. And now this line comes off pretty willingly. Okay. So now it's time to start the car engine. We should feel suction in here when there's power to this unit, so I'm not going to disconnect the power. However, then when I do disconnect the power, if I continue to feel suction here, then I've got a stuck open valve. Now, this thing's supposed to be at rest. I mean, when it's at rest, it should be closed. So that's what I'm going to test right now by starting the engine. Okay, I definitely feel the suction there. And that, I should be feeling that. And when this is powered, it should be open. So now I have to unhook the electrical connector. Again, on some cars, these just pull off, but on this one, I need to use both hands to release that tab. So I'll set the camera aside. So I've removed my electrical connector here from the purge valve, and here's a moment of truth. And I continue to feel suction, which tells me that this valve is stuck open and will need to be replaced. So I want to I took a 12 millimeter socket here and pre-loosened this. So you want to take that off, which frees everything, and it's just connected down here. Now, just like with the electrical connector, there's a little tab on here that I will have to pull out, and I just did it with one hand. It doesn't necessarily come all the way out. And you can't just pull this off without damaging something. There is a little button. There's no way I'll get it on the camera, but there's a little button that you push in with your fingers and pull straight up gently, and it comes right off. So you get the part with the hose. Okay, the old part is on the right and the new part is on the left. And I just wanted to point out one other way to test if they work. If you are to blow with your mouth, obviously after cleaning the old part, you can blow straight through it, which proves that it's open. When I blew on the brand new part, I could not blow through it. As at rest, it's closed, as it should be. And that's it. So I just wanted to close the video saying that replacing the canister purge valve did fix the issue on this car. I took it to the auto parts store and had them clear the code. The technician told me that it had registered a permanent code. I hadn't really heard of these, but they are designed to keep people from fooling emissions tests by manually clearing the code and then getting the car inspected. However, it will clear if you do a drive. I believe you have to let it idle for 30 seconds, drive at least 10 minutes, 5 of which have to be over 40 miles per hour with an idle at the end. I don't know if it really has to be that specific, but my issue has been resolved. Good luck.